Hi, my name is Nevo Hadas and I'm a partner at DYDX.
My name is Templar Wales. I am a partner at DYDX.
DYDX specializes on product and service design,
Just predominantly digital, but not exclusively.
helping companies find new ideas and take them to market. Empathy is the ability to understand a situation from somebody else's context.
A way of getting into the customer's mind, into the user's mind, and understanding the experience from their point of view rather than a biased observer's point of view.
It's one of the fundamental elements you have in any kind of design thinking exercise because it helps you understand not just what the person you're solving for is feeling and wanting, but also the context within which they're wanting it, and gives you a deeper understanding of how you should be building your solutions to take all of that into effect. We use empathy quite a lot in our work. So the first phase of any design thinking project is really around trying to build empathy, right? So it is the research, it's understanding what people are doing, how they're doing it, where they're doing it, and then also trying to unpack why they're doing it in this way. So empathy really becomes the fundamental cornerstone on which you build the solutions later on.
We use empathy to ensure that we are seeing the problems and challenges from a customer's point of view or from the user's point of view, to make sure that we are not gathering information and processing and understanding information from our point of view, but from a customer's point of view.
Once you've gained the empathy and done the research, you then start utilizing that empathy both in how you communicate it to other people who are working on the solutions so they understand very clearly what is required by this person, and then also to help give you the insights which then you can build the solutions on.
One of the biggest problems that people make when they're talking about their customers, for a start, is trying to relate to the customers as themselves. You need to know your customer because they are not you. You need to understand how they think and why they think those things and why they feel what they do, rather than jumping to conclusions and assumptions that it might be the reason why you would feel a certain way.
It's always interesting for us when people speak about their customers. We find that one of the key mistakes people make is they either have a view of their customers based on revenue groups or what they'd like their customers to be, or sometimes what will actually happen is they want to understand the segmentation and the fine-tuning elements of their customers. They'll have this kind of amorphous blob of a customer, which is a wallet, versus somebody with feelings, needs, and most importantly, not understanding that the customer has a job that they need to complete and that the product is just one way that the customer actually completes this task. So not knowing who the customer is really depends on whether it's a new product you're launching or an existing product that you have in the market, but you're not 100% sure of who you're really speaking to in that segment. In both cases, it's really quite an exciting position to be in as a client or somebody looking to launch a new product or service or enhance something that you have, because it means you can go back with a little bit of a beginner's mind, and instead of assuming you know everything and fighting against your assumptions, you can start afresh and really take all those insights in for the first time.
It's sometimes better to not know and know that you don't know your customer and go out and do that exploration and the research and create that clear view of your customer rather than assuming that you do. I think one of the biggest challenges is assuming that you know your customer when you don't. An insight, when you're developing a product or a service or even any communication, it's the difference between taking data or knowledge and having an insight which is something that you can base a decision on, base your ideation on.
An unobvious realization that you get about a customer and how they behave based on multiple layers of research, of continuously asking why, that then sparks off a range of ideas and opportunities that you think you can use to improve that customer's life or experience.
It's understanding that information in a way that gives you a deeper view of the problem that you're solving or the person that you're probably solving it for. We avoid bias by creating personas. We avoid bias by removing our own understanding and our own assumptions. Assumption testing is a really important part of the process.
Bias is always a challenge that you have to kind of take into account as a designer?
There are ways of removing bias, and the importance of removing bias is to make sure that we're not viewing research and knowledge and ideas against our own understanding and against our own preferences, but rather those of the customer.
And the way you avoid it is, well, the way we avoid it is we try to look at multiple sets of research that can contradict each other in some ways because they're being gathered in a different way, but at least give you directionality and some kind of triangulation around an answer. So you'll see a lot of bias when people are doing interviews, a lot of bias when people are interpreting data, and that's really what you have to watch out for. The other way to manage bias is to have lots of people in the room doing the analysis, not just one person saying this is the answer, but rather a range of them discussing it and seeing where there's different perspectives of what the data means or how it's interpreted, and really kind of keeping an eye out on that. The aim of gaining empathy is to have a lot more insight or understanding of the customer for when you design the solution for them.
To make sure that we're understanding why people do things, not just what they do, what motivates them, and not just what are the functional things that they're going through.
It's really a primary tool that you use both internally in the design team, but also externally with all the other parties you have to work with to make sure that people understand who this person is and what you're trying to solve for.
If we understand what motivates them, we can put other things in place to make sure that we are creating things that are used by customers, not just usable.